By the late 12th century, the Islamic world had reached its geopolitical peak. Under the leadership of Salahuddin Ayyubi, vast territories were unified and Jerusalem was brought back under Muslim control. But that stability shattered almost immediately after his death in 1193. His royal heirs divided the empire and turned their swords against each other, fighting over territory and even enlisting former Crusader enemies to help them assassinate their own kin. Further east in Baghdad, the Abbasid Caliph, the supposed supreme leader of the Islamic world, was essentially paralyzed. He held immense spiritual reverence, but possessed no actual political or military strength to enforce order. This rot and infighting among the established elite left massive stretches of Eurasia completely unguarded. The kings of the world had created a massive power vacuum right as a storm was gathering on the horizon. In 1206, far to the northeast on the harsh steppes of Central Asia, a fractured collection of warring nomadic tribes was brutally unified into a single cohesive force. The man who united them was Genghis Khan. He organized his people into a hyper-disciplined military machine, driven by an insatiable hunger for expansion. As his armies swept through China, Central Asia, Iran, and Russia, they systematically dismantled major medieval cities, turning them to ash. By 1258, that Mongol spearhead struck Baghdad. The historic capital was leveled, and the Abbasid elite were executed. The established royalty of the world had failed. As the smoke cleared over the Middle East, the Indian subcontinent and the surviving Islamic territories appeared entirely defenseless against total destruction. The defense against this apocalypse would come from the Mamluks, elite military prodigies captured as youths and raised by kings for the sole purpose of high-stakes warfare. In 1206, the exact same year Genghis Khan rose to power, a former Mamluk slave established the Delhi Sultanate in northern India. This was Qutb-ud-Din Aibak. As a boy in a Central Asian slave market, he was passed over by buyers because he lacked the physical beauty usually desired for palace guards. But the king, Shahabuddin Ghori, saw past his appearance, choosing Aibak solely for his extraordinary bravery and tactical brilliance. While the world's most pampered heirs were losing their empires, the foundation to protect the Indian subcontinent was being quietly laid by a rejected slave. As the Mongol horde pushed to conquer the final pockets of civilization, they hit two impenetrable walls, Egypt and northern India. Along the western line, Egyptian Mamluks, led by Qutuz and Baibars, met the Mongols head-on at Ain Jalut, breaking their aura of invincibility. Simultaneously, the slave dynasty in India, fortified by Aibak and successor Iltutmish, successfully locked down their northern borders, repelling repeated Mongol incursions year after year. Aibak grounded his empire in Delhi with a permanence seen in projects like the Qutub Minar, massive stone pillars that still represent the unshakable foundation of the Sultanate. These synchronized dynasties of enslaved soldiers finally broke the greatest military momentum in human history. Because the Mamluks held that northern line, the Indian subcontinent was spared the apocalyptic burning that had turned the rest of Eurasia to ashes. Shielded from the storm, India was allowed to flourish. It entered an era of massive wealth, architectural triumph, and cultural expansion, earning its reputation as the legendary Golden Bird. This closely guarded prosperity would eventually make India the ultimate prize for global trade, drawing the eyes of European explorers centuries later. The rot within the ruling elite had nearly allowed the Mongol expansion to systematically dismantle the major political and cultural centers of the medieval world. When the world was burning, it was the marginalized, the rejected, and the enslaved who stood up, held the line, and ultimately saved the remaining pieces of civilization.